issues, ideas, and opportunities happen simultaneously. That is sometimes hard for people to understand, so we're going to spend some time in class talking about your own issues and ideas. So I want you to understand this framework before we begin. So as we think about what's going on in our communities today, we often will begin to feel issues that we're experiencing. We may have conversations with people who talk about their unmet needs, and you probably have been studying many of those in other courses. As soon as people tend to hear issues, they begin to immediately think about a solution. They think about an idea. They say, what if we could do this? Why don't people do that? And at the same time, they sometimes miss that understanding about when is the time right for that idea to be able to happen. So the differentiation between an issue and an idea and an opportunity are important to understand, and it's a vocabulary we'll keep using in this classroom. So I'm going to give you a number of examples to help us walk through this. The first is, let's just look at the issue of how many women are living in poverty today. Over 20 million women live in the United States are living in poverty. So I bet right away you begin to think about ideas that you might have. So let me just talk about a couple of them. An idea might be, though, somebody should focus on hiring women who are chronically unemployed, and we should make that a hiring priority. Or someone might say, what if we trained women and getting them into jobs that were hiring paying jobs? So right away the idea starts happening, and you dig a little bit deeper and you say, gee, maybe we could start a gourmet food manufacturer and we could hire those people living in poverty. Or maybe we partner with the union, and so right away you're beginning to dig into that idea. But what isn't clear is what are the real opportunities. So part of our work and part of the thinking and developing an idea is to begin to understand where in our environment are those opportunities, so that the ideas, the multiple ideas you have, get sorted by which ones have potential to really get implemented because of what's going on. So with this one, unemployment is really high, and so a lot of government officials are beginning to look for strategies to be able to reach and help the unemployment problem. Another opportunity is that gourmet food interests are expanding significantly, and that's a marketplace that's growing. Another is that government might be making a priority in adding new hiring requirements to their direct contracts. These are all opportunities that are happening someplace else, and if you can get an understanding about how to take that opportunity and pick the idea that you have that fits that, the likelihood of you being able to be on a path for a real solution is much greater. So here's another one. Issue: 8 million blind and visually impaired people live in the United States today. That's a challenge, but many of you are probably quickly recalling stories or thinking about the technology tools you use. And the idea that comes to most people these days is, what if we were to design a new technology application that would help the visually impaired be able to do things they've never been able to do before? And so the next phase of the idea is we could partner with a service that already works with blind people, and maybe we help them create new ways for people to download books and to be able to hear them in new ways that they then can begin to learn and keep up with trends and issues in their favorite fiction books simultaneously. The challenge then is, where's the opportunity? It could be that a local foundation just announced they have a new interest in applying technology to social issues. Or it could be that this app development has emerged, and it suddenly has become so much simpler that you can partner with an app development company who's committed to donating their time to make that kind of opportunity work. So again, things going on in your environment that can be matched with your own ideas to be able to make that a much more likely success. So here's where we are in beginning the process that will take us from looking at an issue and all the way to the end of the course, where you will be completing a venture framework and testing whether it's viable or not. We're right at the very beginning stages, so that you are looking at the issue, you're looking at the idea, and you're looking at the opportunities. And these all literally happen simultaneously, and you're going to find you bounce back and forth between all three of these components. So how do you frame an issue? And we'll spend more time in the class doing this as we go forward. But getting an understanding about an issue starts with your own background. It starts with your education. You're all in a place now that is teaching you how to look at issues. It also starts with the experience you've already had in your life. What's your work experience been? If you've been working in low-income communities, you've got a whole different kind of understanding about that than somebody who's spent their whole life working in a tower downtown Minneapolis. Your personal life experience. You may be a first-time college person in your family. It could be that you have significant global travel, and that's introduced you to different kinds of issues. Your own social networks. Or it could be that it's an issue you've been passionate about for a long time and you've gotten deep into it. So even with the issue observation, these elements help you begin to focus your attention, and that's totally fine. That doesn't have to be the top-rated issue that some state government said was most important, or that your national leaders have said we need to work on, because it's better to have a match with your background knowledge and passion, actually. So the idea generation, we all do this all the time. What we want to do now is to get more methodical about how we do idea generation tied to those issues. So we'll spend some more time in this class talking a lot about how you generate ideas. One of the most important things is you want to start with many ideas. Too many new entrepreneurs pick an idea, the first one that comes to their mind, and run with it. So part of what we'll be doing in this course is pushing all of us to think about multiple ideas. Those ideas get better when you have engagement with the people that are experiencing the issue. If you've never had a conversation with a blind person, you really need to have that conversation and not be assuming what their limitations are. You need to look at what your ideas and issues are from multiple perspectives. Again, generate as many as possible. And then throughout this whole process, you're going to be revising the issue, the idea, changing it as you go so that it's more refined. So the final part of these pieces, we've already talked about issues and then we just talked about how you frame ideas. The next part is to figure out how to see opportunities and seize them. And we're going to spend more time again in this as well. So seeing opportunities is actually a disciplined approach to looking at what's going on in your environment. It helps you be able to exploit changes that are happening, to anticipate the paths that change might be on, and taking advantage. The window of opportunity image really is one that we're looking at with this plan. Broadly scanning for what's unusual in our environment, what's changed. With new technology, there's lots and lots of those kinds of opportunities. But even changes in public will can happen much more dramatically than you might expect. So we'll be spending time also in class just talking about how have societal attitudes changed and where are those opportunities. So this creative process has multiple steps. First is seeing an unmet need, framing the issue, getting deeply involved, get a deep understanding about that issue, and really looking at what its causes are. Step number 2, let's get creative. Figure out the brightest ideas you can get. Look at what might be solutions other people hadn't thought about. Engage the target population and ask them what might be solutions for them. Look at what's done in other locations, and can it be imported to us? Step 3 is this opportunity window exploration. It requires a sort of supply review thinking. Can it really be done? Are the resources there to make my idea happen? The idea of applying technology to help the blind couldn't have been addressed as easily as it can today. It couldn't have been addressed that well 20 years ago. Today we have a window of opportunity with the technology changes that make that possible. So it requires this sort of demand review also. Do people really want to be able to use that? The demand review often will also look at that it requires behavior change. For example, I just got a new iPhone. I haven't ever had one before. I'm still getting used to its ring, so that's a behavior change for me. While it might seem modest, bigger behavior changes are even more difficult to make adjustments to. So thinking about that kind of demand side is part of what we'll be doing. And then we'll walk through a preliminary risk checklist. You have the idea, the opportunity is there. How are we going to make that happen? What are the risks? What are the financial limitations? What are the kinds of barriers we're going to have to overcome in our environment? What are the legal issues around us creating this? Lots and lots of these kinds of risk analysis questions will come up later in this process, but it's part of what you're going to be engaged with during this class. And the final result is this kind of process. You have an issue and it's clear. You've got an idea and you've been able to figure out how it matches with the opportunity. The opportunity has been reviewed enough that you've got a good idea about what's going on in your environment, and it's matched with your understanding about what the needs of the people are. And just maybe the idea that you have is feasible. So that's what we're going to be working on in the course today. So enjoy, and we'll see you in class.